And I need to tweet it out. Um, yeah, it took me a while to get it started, so apologies for anyone coming in late, which don't look like we have anybody yet. I mean, I did put this very, very last minute, so my apologies to anybody who's coming in. I'm actually going to tweet it out also. Uh, I'll come back to that. I got somebody who's been kind of going back and forth with me in video after video. I was kind of complaining about. Well, we'll talk about it in a second. I figure it'll be good to bring it up as far as um, with the videos I've done recently about Toby the Singer. Oh, there it is. So let me share. Tweet. I'm just going to simply put we are live. Anybody who wants to catch it can catch it. If not, they'll catch it um, second time around. Again, apologies for not putting this out sooner. So how have you been doing, Jose?
Been doing pretty good. It's new moon, new month.
Yes.
All praises that we're still here today.
Definitely all praises that we're here and all praises that at, how things have been going from what I've been seeing. Just click those lights down there, just a little too bright. All right, so yeah, I guess I'll go on ahead and toss the intro up if I have it. Man, been a while since I've done a live stream, so a little out of it. Uh, because I had a problem last time with what was it? I had a problem with echoing when I did an interview the other day on somebody's channel, and uh, I had to click out all of my my links and everything, which I normally have up in videos, and the intro I had to hop out of it.
Well, you sounding good so far.
Oh yeah, from my cold that I had.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better from it, definitely. It was and I do have to give a shout out, somebody definitely gave me some good advice on what to take for it. What is it called? Sambuco. I normally do not like to shout out any kind of corporate company, but they were the ones which I used to kind of get me back, and I was feeling better very, very quickly. So I definitely recommend that to anybody who's feeling under the weather. There it is. So let me put it on the screen. Oh, I'm gonna share screen first. Yeah, that'll give them a little bit of time to hop in here before we get started. Share screen.
move for fake news. Are you a ock or a op? Can't choose. You fake too. We're Hakadesh, my force field like King Bruise. The most high. Put my feet on the gas. I can't cruise. Praise the most high. Feet on the grass. I can't lose. Stick to the plan like we building a house. Now make room. You ain't never seen me in this color like Babe Ruth. People acting like repenting is something they can't do. Are you dumb or not? People choosing hell over heaven, but they know it high. Of course, you can find me in the present like I know the spot. He gave me these words, what a blessing. I'ma pour it out. People seeing water where my breath is. Yeah, I flow a lot. Holy Spirit shining in the dark like it control the tide. People out here thinking it's a game, but you control the fry. If you thinking what I'm saying is lame, I can't socialize from now on. I'm just gonna stay in my lane like I'm motorized. What you thought? I should dumb it down to maintain. You going off, the devil turning up, so I am too. No going soft. Every scripture in that Bible a sword. This is a war. Huh? What you thought? An Naviel gon' help you see clear, just like the frost. The Most High speaks, but they don't fear him. When he talk, you don't wanna hear them words, don't know you. So depart, repent. Yeah.
Do good. In thy good pleasure, O Zion. Build out the walls of Jerusalem. Oh, Father, hear me. Forgive me. And purge me from my sins and iniquities. Hallelujah. Oh, Father, we praise you. Elohim. In the last days, thy sons and daughters shall prophesy and call upon the name Yod-Heh, Wad-Heh. Humble, let's meditate and take. Cry aloud and spare not. Let's get it.
I'm watching that clock like we in the fourth quarter. Messiah is coming, it's almost the hour. We roll with 144,000. He blessed the elect and he's showing his power. And I've been fasting, so that mean I'm hungry. So that mean the demons I have to devour. Reading Ephesians, I don't fight with flesh and blood. I fight with principality and power. Please tell the evil, don't challenge me. My name is humble, I gotta be, I'm a descendant from the tribe of Benjamin. Don't wait to wolf up inside of me, Heaven to hell, bottom of top. I pick the top like a lottery, Get it? Lottery top pick. I pick the top like a lottery, Forget it. Israelite, yeah, my squad is the biggest. His nationality is not a religion. Pharisees trying to catch you slipping. They watch you like a museum exhibit. I don't have to fake the laws, I live it. You are living a facade, I get it. And you don't believe in God, you ignorant. Visionary, don't fit your description, I'm gone.
Yod-Heh, Wad-Heh, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob,
Yod-Heh, Wad-Heh. Humble, let's meditate and take. Cry aloud and spare not. Let's get it.
All right, welcome to Hebrew Apologetics with young Morpheus and Jose. First and foremost, we want to give all honor and glory to the Heavenly Father Yahweh. We do so in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai, which the world knows as Jesus Christ. We're going to do something a little bit different tonight. I titled the show Sit Rep of the World. And for those who are not familiar with what sit rep means, I'm a former military guy. Sit rep means situational report. And so that is giving a overall view of what we see that is going on. And with so many things going on, there's a lot of subjects to go into. And so we didn't want to give one specific title or one specific topic to go into. And then also I left it open for a little bit of Q&A. We've had a lot of different videos I've been working on and uploading, things which I got planned to upload also for later on. I got a lot, Jose. It's just a matter of having enough hours in the day to get to everything. That said, I'm trying to think of what topics. We'll get into the topics. But first, let's get Jose in here. So what are your thoughts on what you're seeing going on in the world?
I'm seeing we are getting much closer and closer to a total economic crash and the ending of the dollar in general,
Mhm.
not just the petrodollar, but a slow conversion towards a digital currency where digital ID is going to be used to be tracking anything and everything. And we already have people in the Economic Forum with Davos. It was Tony Blair. I think that was he was calling for a digital infrastructure in order to track everybody who's been vaccinated or not. And that's just one of the few stepping stones that says, "Oh, we are getting closer and closer to shit hitting the fan."
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree and concur. For those who do catch the live streams or do catch our videos, and they are not crossover watchers of my other channels, on my other channel, I do deal with a lot more current events. I deal with a lot more politics news, the inner workings. You should follow a lot of foreign policy, being as it used to affect me directly. So of course I paid attention to it, being former military, and being former military, working specifically in the weapons and explosives field. I feel like I have some insight into some of the things that are going on, more so than maybe a lot of other Hebrew Israelites, which I see who are out talking. No slight against any of my brothers out there. Um, many of them come from the streets. And I mean, I grew up around the streets. I'm not going to say I was out in the streets like that, but I've seen my share of things, experienced some things, and but I always had those types of cats, which now are like a lot of our leaders in Israel, as the type who were telling me that I had a good head on my shoulders and to stay away from what they were into. And through those types of brothers being able to push me away from things, it led me into the pathways of more politics and foreign policy and military and all those things like that. And so, um, before we get into that, I've had the last couple of videos that I've been uploading. I know Jose asked me a little bit about them, and I guess Jose, can you ask the question which you asked me earlier? I figured I would save the answer for live to explain. But what did you ask me earlier today?
Yeah, I was kind of curious about why there were 5 video uploads centered around um, Dr. Michael Brown and Tobias Singer.
Tobias Singer.
Tobias Singer, and especially concerning Isaiah 53, which while the intro was playing, I got a brief refresher on the chapter. I was just like, this is Yahweh Shai that Isaiah is
Yes.
prophesying about.
And that's a key part. Tobias Singer is a more prominent figure in, I guess I would say, I don't want to say as is speaking for the Orthodox community, even though he considers himself an Orthodox rabbi. He's just a more prominent figure within the whole theological apologetics field in general. He's debated a lot of people. He's very high profile person. Some people agree with him on some things, and there's some things which he's brought out that I've brought out on the channel, which he's talked about, that I even agree with. And even in that last video that I uploaded was the full debate. Well, as full as it can be. What some people don't know, who didn't like listen to like all the different uploads that and all the conversation that's went on with this, they initially had a debate that happened in, I believe, 86 or 87. That debate was done in coordination with, I believe, CBS. Rabbi Tobias Singer pulled his authorization, did not want it shown. So, and if you hear the interview that they talk about, the after interview debate, where Sid Roth is interviewing Tobias Singer, you hear him talk about it. He says, "Oh, well, I heard you guys had a debate. Well, I heard your debate that was done in someone's home, and I decided that I wanted to have you guys on for the debate." And so that debate happened in '91. From what Dr. Michael Brown said, and people can, leave it to them. You guys can scrutinize him if you think he's being honest or dishonest. But according to his channel, which he's put out multiple times, he said that it was a 2-hour debate. They had to cut it down to an hour and a half. So Sid Roth, Rabbi Tobias Singer, and Dr. Michael Brown, according to what was said, decided on which parts that they were going to take out. So that's the reason why I say it's as full as it can be. It's what's released per them. No manipulation on my part. But when you have a Messianic Jewish person and you have a Orthodox rabbi talking about such a highly debated chapter, Isaiah 53, which many would agree, messianic, non-messianic, that it is a prophetic chapter of the Messiah. Now, where the debate comes in. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask all right, so if I could be wrong, but
Mhm.
the Orthodox Jewish side does not believe in a Messiah, because if I remember correctly from a reaction video that me and you did a while back on Tobias Singer, he had he was displaying several contradictions with Christianity, and so with that in mind, Orthodox Jewish don't believe in a Messiah.
Well, they believe in a Messiah, yes. I won't misrepresent them. Who they believe the Messiah is, that's the actual question.
Okay.
Do they believe who we believe is a Messiah is a Messiah? No. Though we call them by different names, us and people in Christianity, Catholicism, Jehovah's Witness, all of us believe that it's the same person. I won't say Mormons because Mormons believe some other stuff. I'll save that for another debate, or not another debate, just another video. But according to my understanding, what you have within the so-called non-messianic, which it doesn't mean they don't believe in Messiah, it means they don't believe in so-called Jesus or Yeshua or Yahushai, Yahushua, whichever different names you guys go by. They do not believe that that individual is the Messiah. They believe that there's a possibility of two Messiahs. Some of them believe that you'll have the Messiah that's a descendant of David, and then you have the Messiah, which is the son of Joseph. And technically that's really the same thing, but I'm not having a debate with an Orthodox Jewish person right now. So, I mean, I'll save that for when I'm having that conversation. But they believe if they are not so-called righteous, then they will have a Messiah which will come on a mule, a humble Messiah. If they are more righteous and ready, then they will have a Messiah that will come in the clouds, as in, the king. And so they believe that that Messiah will come in the clouds. He will come down. Rabbi Tobias Singer's, from what I'm gathering from the way he's explained it, he's believing that the Messiah is going to come, be a priest to everybody, and be the Messiah and sacrificial lamb and the king, and basically all the prophecies that they say about the Messiah is all going to happen in that one time. I see you looking a little confused.
Yeah, because it sounds like, all right, for the outcome, like if they are righteous enough, it sounds like they're borrowing from Revelations chapter 1. He cometh with clouds,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and yet, um, from that same chapter, every other verse that that charges the one who comes with clouds being who the world calls Christ. So it's
So, John,
so it sounds like uh singer is borrowing. He's coming with clouds, but
mhm.
everything else, no, just you forget about that. That's what it's sounding like to me.
Well, yeah, it's taking a mixture of, because they don't believe, Orthodox Judaism does not believe in the New Testament.
Okay.
They completely hold it as, in Rabbi Tovia Singer's, in his words, it's plagiarizing the Old Testament. Yes, that's what he says. Now, in the video which I put out, I said that it's not plagiarizing any, whoever the Messiah would be, whether you believe it's Christ, whether you believe that it's some other Messiah coming in the future, whether you believe it's somebody who was already dead who's going to come back, which some believe could possibly be Daniel, could be the Messiah. Yes, there's a lot of different understandings in Orthodox Judaism. There are some people who believe literally their head rabbi of their congregation is the Messiah. Yes, there are a couple who are very avid in New York who they believe that this one rabbi was the actual Messiah. Now he died like 25 years ago, but they don't acknowledge that he's actually dead. So when you start getting into paying attention to Judaism, I say it leaves some questions. And so because these were two, let me look up. I'll look up their channels real quick, so you can see what I mean about that. They are both very prominent names. Dr. Michael Brown, I'm pulling up his channel right now, has 151,000 subscribers. And I believe right now, currently, he is in India teaching some seminars or something. I don't think Tovia Singers is quite as high right now. And he is currently out of, he has roughly 65,000 subscribers. So we're talking about between the two of them, I mean, close to 250,000 people who are listening to them. Yes, they seem a bit confused. Exactly. And I'll tell you why I believe that they are a bit confused. Because as Dr. Michael Brown said in there, he said that Orthodox Judaism, they don't necessarily read the Torah and Tanakh. What they do is they kind of skim through it, but they focus most of their energy on what the earlier rabbinic traditions, rabbinic readings, the sages, and commentary on what the actual interpretation is. So even if a verse says one thing and we're reading it pretty plainly, they'll say, but no, you have to go to Sanhedrin B. And here in Sanhedrin B, he's giving the proper understanding of what that really means. Now, sometimes is there stuff in there where you can be like, you know what? Okay, I can see that. That does make sense. Yes, and it might fill in the blanks to certain things. Like it might say, for instance, for certain festival, you need to, light incense. It might tell you the specific incense and be more direct and tell you that maybe you need to do it a certain way where the Bible might not be clear exactly which ways it's telling you how to do it.
It sounds like they're spitting in the face of Deuteronomy 4 and 2. You should.
I know what you're. Yes, do not add in.
Or
Yeah,
anything. Don't add or
Yes,
take away from anything.
and that's what I brought up, that Judaism seems to contradict the Torah. Now, Rabbi Tovia Singer will tell you, no, it doesn't contradict the Torah, which, um, not that and the reason why I did the debate with commentary is because I know that it is highly unlikely that I'll ever be able to have a discussion with either of these men. I'm not going to say a debate because I know which card they're going to pull. They pull the, well, you don't speak the Hebrew. So, and Dr. Michael Brown even pulled out that that's a trick and a game that's played, because when he didn't speak modern Hebrew, they played that game with him. And then he went and learned modern Hebrew, and then he has a lot of them tripped up and confused. And it's not about understanding modern Hebrew. Another thing is modern Hebrew added vowels. So how do we know for a fact that you guys have even added the vowels in the correct place and you are not coming up with the interpretation which you wanted to say versus what it might have actually said? I mean, how do we know that that's not flawed?
Playing the "you don't speak Hebrew" cards just sounds like, well, this understanding is only reserved for us. Like,
And it is it's like this. If you speak Spanish, you can go to Italy and you can have a conversation with somebody and you could still be able to do things. Is the translation going to be perfect? No. But you can read enough of what's saying to understand the context. So even if you don't translate one word exactly perfectly, you can still get the gist of what's going on here. And that's a lot of the game, which I find, which people who play that you don't speak the language card play. Also, a lot of times when I ask them, well, the JPS Tanakh is translated. Is that a bad translation? Well, no, but they're getting this wrong. And then I'll say, okay, well, how about you just translate it and you show me where it's wrong? And it might, like, I'll give you an example. It might say it's in modern Hebrew and it's translated in this as he walked down the stairs and around the corner to the left. Their translation might say he walked down the stairs quickly and went and went left, looking up at the sun. Okay, you added one bit of detail that really didn't change the overall sentiment of what's being said here. And that's what I found typically with it. Now, is there certain times where um, one word is translated incorrectly? Yeah, but you find that when you look at, sometimes you look at the King James to the ESV, where the ESV might have the better translation, where in the part, and then in another part, the NLT has a better translation. But all of these things are saying something similar, but maybe one or two little areas where there's cause for questioning. It's the same thing in this scenario, but it's played up that way so it can delegitimize the person they're having the conversation with. So I wanted to show that over and over because my mindset is the people who are said to be the chosen people, and which we have some questions about. If other people start looking at some of these questions and contradictions and realize that some of these people are acting like they're so wise and that they know what they're talking about, but there's holes all through their story, it's easy for somebody to look like a genius when they sit in the corner quietly. It's when you get them to talk, you find out what they know or don't know. And this is what I feel like which happens with modern Judaism. Most of us have no clue what they believe, what's going on there. Like, that's something that Rabbi Tovia Singer said in debate, that our job is to go out and teach the people. Well, from what I've seen, Orthodox Judaism stays to themselves. They don't tell anybody anything. They said that, oh, well, if you believe in Christ, then that's idolatry. Well, why aren't you telling them that? Why aren't you telling anybody who's not Jewish to not believe in Christ? You don't tell them that. So what does that mean? Either it doesn't matter if you tell them that, or you don't care because according to you, you're told to tell them that. Now, Hebrew Israelites, we don't hold that same point of view. That right, because we believe in the order of prophecy.
Yeah, Christ is worthy of worship, but not to the same level as the Most High.
John said he was denying the word, though he lost it. Yeah, I mean, another thing which I've seen, and I have somebody who's been hopping onto some of these videos. He's a big Tovia Singer defender. I just look at it, and here's something that I found interesting. Tovia Singer and most Orthodox Jewish people will tell you themselves, we do not look at prophecy, really. We don't focus on prophecy. So if you don't look at prophecy, you don't focus on prophecy, then how can you tell other people that they don't understand it when other people spend more time focusing on it than you do?
Yeah, that sounds so contradictory.
Arrogant.
Because yeah, and
Mhm.
also to what you said earlier, that believe that their Messiah is coming from the line of David, where you have a verse in Jeremiah 30 that says, and they will worship the Lord their God and David their king, who I will raise up among them. That's part of prophecy that you're looking at to
Mhm.
try to track down who's your Messiah, which that's weird.
Well, and then another thing that they say that you can, Rabbi Tovia Singer was making the point that you can be righteous by just praying. You can repent, but you can pray and be forgiven of your sins. That there's no sacrifice required. That you can be forgiven from your sins for praying. Which and he says the only time the sacrificial system comes into play is when you have committed what is it, when you are knowingly sinning. When you're knowingly sinning, that's the only time you can give a sin sacrifice, but that's not the way I understand it.
And there's laws in the Torah that says if you sin by ignorance and you discover it later, you bring up an. But again, the Torah is apparently not contradicted by what they're saying. Okay.
But they say that you have to. I don't know. That's why I'm saying, Jose, you really need to go back and check it out. Everybody, I mean, check it out. I also put underneath because I had a gentleman who was having some issues with my interruptions, and it was so complicated for them to follow it because I was interrupting, and they were like, "Well, why didn't you take it back to right what he was saying at the very beginning?" And whatever. You're talking about interrupting a man in speech. They're not reading a verse. If they were reading scripture, then I would not interrupt them. A debate is a conversation in which they paraphrased some verses. They threw out chapter and chapter. They basically named verses, but they didn't read direct scripture. So the interrupting a man in the midst of speech, which the Bible talks about you shouldn't do, that's not something that was being done there. So the full interview the full debate and interview is in the description box up under that video in case people wanted to hear it without my commentary. But yes, John said, just like Catholicism, pick out a bit and that's what they teach.
That's Christianity too, to a T.
And it's Islam also, and it's Mormonism also. That's what somebody brought up the point. They were like, you know what's interesting? Judaism, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness. You have all these different faiths that say that they believe in the Bible, but they have to create their own separate book. Like the guy was saying, well, you gotta, if you don't believe in the oral Torah. Now, mind you, there's oh, I see my brother Hamza's in here. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, salaikum salam. Which, if you're really reading into the books, just read it, and it's not hard to follow. It really isn't. You don't need to have some sage or rabbi tell you what this really means. Another thing is about the oral Torah. I think somebody said it has something like 2 million words in it. It's literally just it's as if you took 40 people and they all read the same book. And actually, I can't even say that because they would have more consensus than these people do in there. It's very confusing. I mean, you got one person it's like you all saw one person walk across the street, and you got 5 people say yes, he walked across the street. You got another one saying he did a backflip across the street. You got another one saying that he ran and slid across the street. You got another one that says that he literally jumped all the way across the street. I mean, they're that varying in their understandings of the same scripture. And so what you're doing is you're literally picking which sage or rabbi that you agree with and when you agree with them. Because Rambam, which is one of the bigger rabbinical, I guess, heavyweights in Judaism, as far as one of the scholars of the Talmud, he said a lot of racist stuff. And they will, that was a different time period. Let's ignore that. And let's just listen to all this other stuff that we believe Rambam did that was good. And I'm like, none of the people in the Torah who have supposedly repented and supposed to be inspired by the Spirit is simultaneously being wicked at the same time. But that's what you have going on in the Talmud.
Yeah.
And not to mention, it's probably about 12 to 1300 years after Mount Sinai when this oral Torah was written down. It was written down also during the Babylonian during the Babylonian slavery, which a lot of people don't realize this one fact. Was there anybody else in slavery with them, Jose, when the Israelites went into slavery in Babylon?
Yeah, because the Babylonians were the known empire of the world at the time.
And so they subjugated the whole entire Levant.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me that they literally subjugate the whole entire Levant. They made Egypt a vassal state. And so, them making them a vassal state, they had to give slaves also. So that means you had Egyptian slaves, had Israelite slaves, had Moabite slaves, had Ammonite slaves. You had Canaanites, Jebusites, Amorites, Perizzites. You had Ishmaelites. You had all of these people in captivity to the Babylonians.
What got Israel into captivity in the first place was following the ways of the other nations. So, of course, they're going to be doing the same thing while in captivity for those who don't turn back.
Mm-hmm. And so with all that said, we're supposed to believe that, for one, how do we even verify that this person that they claim was a rabbi was a rabbi? How do we even assert that he's even from Israel? We don't even know that for a fact. This dude could have. I mean, I know my boy Hamza's out there. Don't get too ticked off when I say this, but it's the same thing with Muhammad. how does anybody know for a fact what Muhammad, the dream and interpretation that he got was divine? Nobody was there with him. It's all based on trusting what Muhammad said.
I find that, like, just from what I keep hearing, there's so many elements in the Quran that borrow from the Torah, yet
Oh, it does. I mean, I put it this way: Muslims, and it doesn't matter even which sect, they believe more. I mean, they hold more to the Bible than Judaism does.
yet they believe in the Prophet Muhammad as the sole person that's there. Yet there is a law in the Torah that says, "At the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, must every matter be established." That
Mhm.
that gets tossed aside from what you're telling me.
Well, but that's the thing. It all depends on which sage, which rabbi you decided to listen to. It boils down simply to that. Let's read the comment. Yipper says, I haven't looked at the book since elementary, and it feels like I need a Ouija board and a decoder ring. Well, the Bible is meant to be written that way. So, I mean, it is not meant to be, because think about it like this. Say, for instance, I come to you, I tell you to write a journal that you're going to leave to your not only your kids, not only your grandkids, your great 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 grandkids, 300 years later, 500 years later, 1,000 years later. And I'm telling you also, this book is going to be taken. Your enemies are going to have this book. Wouldn't you write it in a way where it would make it hard for people who are not your children or your family to understand it? And then, of course, if your family got taken in captivity, it might even be hard for them to understand it later on down the road. And that's why the Bible is the way it is, because they knew that other nations would have it. And the point was for them to not completely understand it.
I got a precept.
Yep, go for it.
Let me pull it up. Going to Second Ezra, chapter 14. All right. Second Ezra, chapter 14, and verse 3. This is the Most High. This is the Most High talking to Ezra's. Second Ezra, chapter 14, and verse 3. Then said he unto me, in the bush I did manifestly reveal myself unto Moses, and talked with him, when my people served in Egypt. Skipping down to verse 5, and told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times and the end, and commanded him, saying, "Bro, stop." And verse 5, and told him many wondrous things, and showed him the secrets of the times and the end, and commanded him, saying, "These words shalt thou declare, and these shalt thou hide."
Exactly. It is, I mean, the prophets knew what they were doing. They knew what was going on. That's another thing I forgot to focus on. They focus more on the oral Torah, which is the Talmud, which comprises of the Mishnah, the Gemara, and Mishnah, Gemara. What am I forgetting? I'm forgetting one other thing. But those things consist of it. So it's mostly commentary, and they don't focus a lot on the prophets, because the prophets are focusing on predicting things in the future, and that's something which oddly they don't find that at all interesting or a priority to focus on what the prophets are saying. They spend very little time on the prophets or prophecy. Not saying that they don't look at it at all, but that is not close to their priority. They do not hold the prophets on the same level as the Torah itself to even focus on. Yes, Yipper. It's like Negro spiritual. Master won't understand what's being said. All right, so that I didn't mean to go on that long about this, and but I did want to kind of explain some of the why there are so many videos going into this. It really was. I broke the interview into a couple of parts, and since I was teasing, I really was going to do the debate first, put that out there, but it's faster to do the little short videos. um, get those out quickly, especially if I'm not going to add any commentary. But that one was definitely on its way out anyway. So that's why I had those 5 videos. And I got like 4 videos that I'm working on right now to come out. One is just a ton of editing. Um, it actually has to do with another rabbi. He actually sounds more like a Southern pastor, but um, you know, I don't. That's neither here nor there. But let's get on to the main topic. Sit rep of the world. John says he enjoyed. Good, good, good. See, I can speak a little bit differently now. This is going to be like some of what we talk about in the political matrix, but now I can go more into like my biblical lens, and be a little bit more direct instead of vague as I often am. We got a bunch of different things going on right now at the same time. I don't know if everybody's been paying attention. I know sometimes we get a little fatigued and we need a woosah, we need a moment from it, but of course, we do have the Russia-Ukraine situation that is ever dawning. As of today, the on the books number, which has went to Ukraine from the U.S. and from NATO and EU forces, is somewhere roughly around 115 billion, billion with a B. That's just on the books. Did you know it was that much?
No. That's...
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. I think like Great Britain spent like 1 billion, like the rest of the other EU partners have done about 15, and the US is rounding out about 100 by themselves. We've also just recently sent some Bradley tanks. We sent some. Well, did we send the howitzers? I'm not sure who sent the howitzers, or I think that might have been Great Britain. But here's the thing: they might have sent them some weaponry, but the problem is they didn't send them nearly enough. Zelensky was asking for something like 300 tanks. He got like 30, I think, and that's combined from all of the NATO partners. Germany like pulled back. They're like, "Yo, we'll send you some humanitarian aid, but we can't really send you too much weaponry. We kind of it's getting tight." And they were kind of counting on that. Well, the EU and NATO partners are getting a little upset with each other right now because Germany is not doing more. France has kind of been pulling back. Italy is like, yo, we're kind of tapped out over here. We don't really have much more. And we start giving too much money, our economy is going to go into the tank. So it's getting to a point where countries like Poland, Latvia, Georgia, Crimea, we could all see them eventually start getting involved soon.
So you were saying that Germany was like a little hesitant on saying the tanks, like sending the tanks over to Ukraine. Just like, yeah, but I'm gonna show my screen like for just a moment
Mm-hmm.
for something a little when it comes to people.
Oh, you're pulling up Olaf Scholz statement?
Oh no. Just a group of people in Germany like that
Okay.
want. Yeah. Just 1 second.
Yes. Yipper said UK spending
Here,
1 billion while its people are freezing. Genius. Yeah.
here, here from Disclosed TV, protesters in front of the German Chancellery in Berlin chant, "Free the leopards now."
And they're like, no, we're not giving the leopards. And for those who don't know, that is their that's the what is it, the call sign for their tank force. Well, not their tank force, but well, yeah, like I said, it's their tank force, their main top tank. The US, I mean, like we sent them some Bradleys. People don't realize like Bradleys are old school. Yeah, John said I was on the first Bradley's trained by civilian. That thing looks tough, but it's a POS. A lot of people don't know that. The Bradleys go all the way back. Like they debuted, I want to say, John, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say it's what 91 back in Desert Storm and Desert Shield. That's when they were used, like in Kuwait with Saddam the first time. So letting you know that these tanks, this series of tanks, are older than a lot of people who can vote and drink and have kids now. Just letting you know, we're not sending them our best stuff. And then I've heard some people make the claim, well, 90, oh, I was correct. A lot of people think, well, why don't the US just go and fight? You gotta understand, Joe Biden don't make no decisions. This goes on way above his head. And from my calculations of what I see, the powers that be above have come to the conclusion that they could win a war of attrition by weakening Russia slowly, but slowly, but slowly, and trying to get them to weaken their force. I don't think it's a wise idea or that it's working, but this is what I believe they're trying to do, thinking that they can just wear Russia down. You say, if you got to take care of the baby, it's all right.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're good. Yipper says, wow, I think GEOs are built better. Yet Bradleys are older than me. Yes. And they have a lot of issues and problems. Something also, and I'm honestly surprised that Russia is still not really taking the gloves off yet, because now the ground is frozen. Now they can bring in their tank force and really up the amount of ground troops. And they're just kind of slowly, methodically doing this. Now, this is also with a lot of their main, forces and some of their top units, like off training other people. They're not even really engaged in this. And so it's kind of like, if you're playing a team, back in high school days, how you had a freshman, maybe you had a sophomore team, a JV, a varsity. Yeah, we're going against this smaller school's varsity, and we're only using the JV. This is what's going on here. Actually, they might not even be using the JV. They might be just using the sophomores, a mixture of freshmen and sophomores, against Ukraine's varsity. Like, their starting five is on the court right now. And I don't know if you guys have paid attention to what's been going on with the World Economic Forum, but the going theme was everybody was trying to coax the EU and NATO to let Ukraine join NATO. That's what the propaganda that was going on. John said, that shit made me quit in 92. We all saw the implosion, but they made us go before our separation. I owe the world. Yeah. I mean, people don't understand the real realities of what's going on, you know, because our news media hides it. After, what was it? After Vietnam, when, you know, you had all the protesters out there and those caskets kept coming home, they literally made a law so that they would not have to show what was going on anymore. And so Americans became numb to what was actually going on the battlefield. And it says something that John saw some action around that time, because this is what they did. And John, correct me if I'm wrong. They took the first, probably, I want to say, 50,000 who came in the early parts in the early 90s, and they sent them head first right into the heat of everything. And then they took the rest of the troops and just kept amassing more and more and more. And many of them sat on the outskirts with literally nothing going on, like just out in the desert, basically getting suntans. That was, they literally amassed more than 500,000 troops sitting on the outside, while they only used a portion to go in and actually do the real fighting. Gipper says, imagine a battalion of men who knew it was an implosion. We were trained in explosives. Yeah, I mean, they literally sent a handful in there to do most of the dirty work, and with shitty equipment, which they knew was shitty. I mean, it's the same thing with the Humvees before they came up with the I'm forgetting the term what it's called, but the design which they put into it, which had the V up under, where it could deal with explosions and IEDs from underneath. The early parts, when they were first getting over there, it was literally just blowing holes through the bottom of those Humvees and killing and maiming most of the crew. Panama's invasion was a testing ground for media cover-up and complacency. I would say that, and the Korean War. A lot of people don't know very much about what happened during the Korean War, and it's a reason why. I was a Bradley trained SSG. Oh, goodness. And so I understand. So John knows more than anybody that they're not really helping the Ukrainians. They're not trying to help the Ukrainians in a way for them to win. Well, they know that the Ukrainians can't win. That's what most people don't understand. They can't win.
Isn't one of the objectives for the U.S. to clear its old armory in order for it to have an excuse to buy new ones?
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Did you read John's comment? Let's put this on the screen. In training, we shot through a Bradley with an M16. Wow. I know the old Italian tanks. When I was in Italy, we were shooting through them with M14s. Yes, that's supposed to be armored, and you're shooting through them with rifles.
That's kind of sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I see why the Italians got their ass kicked so bad. They just training them up to die for an empire. Well, what they're doing is they're literally using them as a proxy, and they're thinking that they can bleed them down economically, when it's not going to work. And they're thinking if we get them weak enough, Russia will just submit. But here's the thing, they knew they couldn't face Russia heads up, because if they could have, they would have just went in there and did it.
Ukraine being accepted into NATO would have given an excuse to trigger Article 5 and speed things up a lot faster than they feel like it.
Well, it would force it because, I mean, it has to be certain events that'll happen, even for NATO. Excuse me, even for a NATO ally, when they're attacked, it has to be show that it wasn't accidental. It has to be kind of to a certain degree. All of these different things like that. It has to be like, that they know, okay, this was a definite act of war. It can't be just some kind of accidental. But with Ukraine is over there literally screaming bloody murder right now. So if they were a NATO ally, they would have already triggered it. They would have triggered it definitely. I think that if they were a NATO partner, they would have possibly even attacked another NATO ally just to get them in the war. I mean, or if they had an accident and completely framed it up to look like, Russia did it, like what happened with their accidental fire into Poland, killing 2 people.
I only see the benefit of it being a very slow bleed, to keep sending money over to Ukraine, is the impact that it would have on our economy to.
Well, that's the problem. Before, they didn't think that this was going to affect our economy like it's affecting our economy, but it is affecting our economy. Uh-oh. Hold on a second. Oh boy. All right. That's interesting news. Can't disclose that, but let's just say got some breaking news going on with us over here. But I'll leave it at that. Yipper, do you think, and it's perfect you asked this question because I put this in the thumbnail for a reason. Do you think this is their blueprint for Taiwan? Well, here's the thing. They don't really want it. They don't really want to do this. They really don't want to engage this with Taiwan. But I got the feeling they're going to be dragged into it no matter what. See, Jose, do you know why this is such a big issue right now? Why the U.S. cares so much about China and Taiwan? Because according to official U.S. policy, they're under a they recognize Taiwan and China as part of the One China initiative. So Taiwan is part of China, according to that. So why is the U.S. so concerned about China going into Taiwan?
I want to say they don't want to be directly responsible for a World War III, but they want someone else to trigger it for them.
That's a good guess. But the real answer is, what have we been talking about with the currency? What's happening to the currency?
The dollar's value is shrinking.
And what are they trying to go to after this?
A digital currency.
Bingo. Trying to go to a digital currency. Think about it. Our computers, our cars are becoming more computerized, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Our phones, everything is becoming higher computing processing, right?
Yep.
They're trying.
You're seeing grocery stores being accessible via chip implants.
What I just covered on Hebrew Apologetics last week, we talked about the automated fast food places. We talked about the first fully automated McDonald's in Texas. That's a real thing. They have John remembers we were talking about the White Castle where they literally have what they call, was it Flippy and Dippy in there, where yes, the Dippy is the one who dips like any kind of fried, like deep fried stuff, whether it's fries, nuggets, tots, onion rings, all that stuff. Um, then you have Flippy that literally flips the burgers, and then you have Dippy, not Dippy, but Sippy. Sippy automatically does your drinks.
Oh, automation into overdrive.
And they now have it in Dodger Stadium actually uses Flippy.
Damn.
So we got nukes in Taiwan. Sorry to say that. Oh, we definitely got nukes in Taiwan. We got nukes in a lot of places. I could tell you that much. The real thing is, you're having all this computerized stuff, all this automation. What do you need to make it run? Does anybody know? John has a clue there. He's saying it. Let's put it on the screen for everybody. What is it? Chips. Exactly, Yipper. It is the chips. Superconductor chips. Now, Taiwan is one of the biggest exporters of superconductor chips. China is trying to do the same thing. Whoever can corner that market is going to make a lot of money. And whoever corners that market will monopolize it. And if you're the country who gets it, you will have power over the fourth industrial revolution, which is the chips, automation, robotics, all of these things. You will be able to either stop a country's development, boost a country's development, and boost your own if you have access to the superconductor chips, which are in Taiwan. With the US wanting to do more and more of this stuff, they need Taiwan. So therefore, that's why it's an issue. That's the reason why the whole one China thing doesn't matter to them anymore. That's the reason why countries like Bolivia, they didn't care about 20 years ago, but now they're all focused on if they have pure elections. The same with Peru. It's the same with a lot of these South American countries and even some of these African countries, because they're starting to pay attention to these things. But overall, what I want everybody to always keep focused, what you're noticing is a shift, a change. The US is not quite as strong as it was before. Some of their allies who, because, you know, people don't think about this. Can you give me Daniel 2? But they don't understand that these allies have always kind of just barely been hanging together. But the U.S. has had enough control over all these different markets to kind of force the rest of Europe to go along with what they were told to do. The moment and this power and control the U.S. has had over all these different nations goes back to when the French lost Haiti. They lost Haiti. They were fighting the battle of, I think it was the Battle of 1812. The French were fighting against the British. When they started losing that, they had to pull back from all of their different, conquests and places that they had all over the place. From that point on, they've been under thumb of the U.S. Losing Haiti, and then eventually that leading to the loss of the Louisiana Purchase, which, I mean, just going off the top of my head, but Louisiana Purchase encompassed like 8 different states. a big, huge chunk of the U.S. I would say easily a quarter of the U.S. was owned by the French at that point in time, which they lost to the U.S. Then you factor in, they were able to hold on to some of their strangleholds within Africa, but Spain basically lost all their strangleholds in Africa. I mean, there's still a nation in Africa which speaks Spanish as the first language. Um, they held on to the Americas. I'm talking about Central and South America for a while, but eventually lost those also. The same with Portugal. They lost a lot of their areas and eventually got to the point where those nations got completely weakened. And the same thing with Great Britain. After they beat Great Britain, all of those nations have been under thumb of the US financially. I mean, well, I'm talking about after, of course, after World War One, after World War Two, that's when the cementing of like, okay, you guys really can't go against the US. But you were seeing that process build up going all the way back from the late 1700s into the 1800s and then the early 1900s. And then by the 50s, they completely suppressed all the other nations. But those nations didn't go quietly into the night. So, do you know which part I want?
So I'm in Daniel chapter 2. Miry clay and iron.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. This is Book of Daniel chapter 2 and verse 40. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, where there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with the miry clay.
And that iron and that miry clay, that iron would be the US, it would be the UK, Germany, France. Those are the iron. The clay, which they're talking about there, the clay would be these nations like Ukraine, the Czech Republic, like all of these different areas, Sweden, Denmark, Greenland. These are the clay. These are the areas which they're not very strong. They're not very powerful. These are the weak areas. And right now, some of the ones who are strong are even becoming weak because they don't have the means to keep, fighting. And so they're being forced by the US. And what's happening is the BRICS nations, and I'm pretty sure everybody out there knows what BRICS stands for: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These are the nations which are pushing back. Mainly right now, Russia, India, and China. I mean, a lot of people aren't talking about India right now. But India has been doing a little fence sitting. The Western powers have been like, yo, you need to jump on our side, India. And he's like, whoa, hold on a second, bro. Don't tell me to do nothing. I'm handling my business over here. And at the same time, they're still buying energy from Russia. So if you think about the proximity of them, anything, if China and Russia keep continuing to grow tighter and tighter, what happens to India? India is going to be forced to make a decision. Are you with us? Or are you with them?
It's way too close to Russia to want to be scared, to want to be against them.
It's way too close to China.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they literally share a border and they have skirmishes all the time. Like India fight the Indian troops fight India fights China all the time. They have little flare-ups. I mean, often, most of the time, people don't die, but they do have these flare-ups. Yipper said the U.S. is trying to do that by interrupting Taiwan. Yeah, they want Taiwan and Ukraine, almost think of them synonymous. It's the same scenario. It's just going down differently. China is I put it this way: they are scared of China because they don't know what China will do or won't do. Russia's that kid who, if you fight him, you know he's going to fight. You know pretty much he's pretty tough. He can throw some punches. He can take some punches. You don't know what China's going to do. Have no clue what China's going to do. You can think you know, but if you pay attention to their actions, all China's been doing is building their military up massively over the past probably 10 to 15 years. They have surpassed us in nuclear technology, and so has Russia. China has literally did tests sending supersonic missiles, or I'm trying to think, supersonic, what do they call cruise missiles, literally all the way, or ballistic missiles, testing ballistic missiles all the way around the world. They passed all the way through America's airspace and been out before our systems could even pick them up. The generals are literally shitting themselves about what China can do. And then if you're not so much, see, a lot of people don't realize what what their most dangerous weapon is. It's not even their nukes. It's their EMP. Russia has the ability to send intercontinental EMP missiles. So that means that they literally could shut down any defense system and any response back and literally leave America dead in the water, as we would say in the Navy. When the ship is not moving, it's dead in the water. Engines blow, dead in the water. They can leave it dead in the water and just fire at will, launching on a sitting duck that can't fight back. That's a possibility. And then not only do we have the Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, India, and Pakistan's in the middle of this also.
You got Iran and Israel.
We got Iran and Israel starting to fire up also at the same time. And right now, Ben Gravir, I don't know if you guys have been following this or know who this gentleman is. Now that we have to see, people focus on Netanyahu. Netanyahu he's a hardcore Zionist. He's going to do what he can do. He's going to do what he can get away with. But his goal is, how much can I move the needle? I mean, that's a perfect example. Anybody out there play what is called Grand Theft Auto? At least played any of them. All right. So in Grand Theft Auto, you have stars, right? Can you explain what stars are on Grand Theft Auto for people out there who don't understand?
If you commit any criminal acts, your level of stars increase, and the more that your stars increase from 1 to 5, the more fierce the police, army, military start chasing you down and trying to kill you. Exactly.
That's how BB has been doing things. It's like, ooh, my stars are getting high. Let me calm down. Ooh, let's do some more stuff. Okay, my stars are creeping up. I can get this one last thing, then I got to go on the low. Cool out. Ben Gravir doesn't give a damn about no stars. He literally just put out a law that they cannot fly Palestinian flags, and flying a Palestinian flag is akin to terrorism. The Temple Mount, which was kind of agreed upon that this was a Muslim holy site that Christians or Jewish people could not pray at the Temple Mount. He's been just kind of walking around it, just playing around it, you know, just trying to enflare people a little bit. Oh, by the way, he's actually the head of the IDF. He's also been cracking down. He put out new laws on protesting. So he's trying to provoke an incident. He is literally poking the bear. But here's what's different. Most people are like, oh, well, you know, the Palestinians, they always get up in arms, this and that. Yeah, but what you guys aren't understanding, after Mecca, which Mecca would be the number one for Muslims holy sites, number two is the Temple Mount. Now, what adds more intrigue to what let me add a little bit more onto it, which most people aren't thinking about. The new the new leader that's in Palestine right now, he is a descendant, said or believed to be a descendant of Muhammad directly. He is looked at as, you of all people can't let this stuff slide. So now all the heat is being pushed. Now you got somebody who, because of who they are and what that site means, not only to the Palestinians, not only to the Iranians, but literally to all the Muslims worldwide, especially across the Levant. So that's what you have going on down there. And you have a president of the United States who's literally not going to do anything. Well, I don't know why I keep putting it into these terms. You know, that's probably me flipping back into my old brain years back. But President Biden has nothing to do with any of this. The people who are pulling Biden's strings obviously have a huge affinity for Israel. And they're going to let Israel do whatever Israel wants to do. They might publicly get on the news and have American officials scold them a little. But that's the extent of what they can do. And so, yeah, factor that in. Go ahead.
You have Iran that's going to be going to Israel. I'm not going to let you do whatever you feel like doing, bro.
Yes, he does, Yipper. He does own one of them. So, that's what I was thinking of, the Jordanian, which the Jordanians are very close with the Iranians also. And Iran, I mean, a lot of people forget about this. Do you guys remember a certain man by the name of General Qasem Soleimani? Well, the Iranians are still heated about that. They still haven't forgiven that. Who do you think that they believe is responsible for it? Ultimately. Yeah, Trump might have pulled the trigger, you know. But who do you think that they really believe is responsible? Any guesses?
Israel?
Ding, ding, ding. Because Israel's Mossad is the one who runs around giving the targets out. They're the ones doing all the spying and saying, these people over here are the ones you need to go after. And so, we have Russia, Ukraine. We have the whole situation with China, Taiwan, India. But here's the thing. India is going to be kind of a little squeamish because Pakistan is right on the other side of this issue, and you know that they're not getting along. But Pakistan is also, I don't know if you guys remember what Russia was like after the fall of the Soviet Union. or at least familiar with it historically. John, help me out here. You know what I'm talking about, right? What was Russia like after the fall of the USSR? And I'll give him some time to answer. Yipper, do you think that information is Joe Biden's files that was recently discovered? Who knows what was discovered in there? I mean, are you familiar, Jose?
No, no
Yeah.
idea.
I'm gonna say it specifically for John because I know only people over a certain age are definitely gonna know this. And if you're over a certain age, we all know it. Exactly. Broken and poor. They were decimated. If you ever see all these movies, why there's always all these Russian prostitutes. This is something that when I found this fact out, it broke my heart. This was years ago. I mean, um, easily probably 20 years ago, I learned this. That in Russia, they were so impoverished that it was honorable for a girl to be a prostitute because that was one of the highest paying jobs in Russia.
Oosh, that is grim.
Yeah, that's when you know your country is in a dark, dark place. That's when they were selling the Russians. Well, not necessarily. Well, let's specify KGB. Yes, sell your daughter. They were doing that. The KGB was literally selling enriched uranium around like it was the 80s and they were selling cocaine. This was a place that was completely devastated. And for those that don't know why exactly, a lot of people think, oh, it was Reagan and Star Wars. No, that's not what happened. Russia at that time, just like now, have always depended on oil. What happened is their oil markets crashed. And they basically had their version of the 1920s. Just like how we had our Great Depression, that was, well, they've had other ones too, but this was a modern day Great Depression for them. And when they were weak, what happened? All of these Western powers in NATO forced them to start breaking apart the USSR. That's how Ukraine became Ukraine. That's how the Czech Republic became the Czech Republic. Jordan, Armenia, all of these different places got broken apart around this time. Well, maybe not so much Armenia, even though it was kind of one of the later places kind of grouped into the USSR, even though it kind of technically wasn't. When you start hearing all these stands, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, all of these different Belarus, that's another one. All of these different areas used to be part of the USSR. When they were weakened like that, they all separated. Yes, the Baltic states. And then what happened is they started making them, the US and other Western powers started saying, well, hey, if you let us come into your country and do X, we will pay you whatever. And so what happened is they started getting more and more of these countries, which used to be part of the USSR, into NATO. Latvia is another one. That's what started happening. So now you have all of these former Soviet states who have all went over to the enemy, basically. And now you basically have its biggest enemy, the United States, and Western NATO powers, sitting at their front door, waiting to just push them over also. I mean, a lot of people might not remember, but there was a certain time when they had the United States will admit that they had the president of Russia in their pocket. I'm trying to remember. Was that Yeltsin, John?
That was who I was thinking of also.
I'm thinking I might be wrong. I think Yeltsin was the one who was pushing back, but it might have been. I think Yeltsin. No, I think. Let me cheat real quick and look up the last couple of Russian presidents, and it'll come back to me.
John says yes.
It was Yeltsin. Okay, Yeltsin was in the pocket for the U.S. and even Putin thought that, hey, well, we can help the U.S. Well, he perfectly was fine with doing business and working with the U.S. But the U.S. the problem is our oil billionaires over here and our oil oligarchy wanted the competition completely out of the way, which they still do. That's the reason why the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipeline, and then you have, Poland opens a pipeline the very same day. Things like that aren't coincidences. But when they start talking about these biolabs, they start finding all over Ukraine. It's because Western powers have been inching in, even though they made an agreement that they would not do that. And so what would you do if, let's say, you own a house at the end of the neighborhood and you own the next 5 houses next to it? You fell hard on your money and your enemy lived all the way at the end on the other side. And they kept buying every house and setting up more gun turrets around you. How long before you decide you need to push back? Well, that's what's going on. And it's only escalating because now they're like, no. I'm not going to let you push me off of here. The same thing which is going on with Russia on this giant scale with NATO and the US is the same thing that's going on with Israel and the Palestinians. It's the same thing that was going on in South Africa with the Dutch. It's the same thing that was going on with the early American settlers and the Native Americans.
Looking at all this madness unfold all over the world, you can, as an Israelite, you can only be excited because this is Esau, Amalek, the Canaanites, the Ishmaelites, and the Ammonites are all trying to tear each other. Sorry, Moabites.
Well, Moabites. Ammonites are under the thumb of of Edomites.
Yep.
Ammon don't want no, especially after they just had, they were trying to go from their pacifist. Let's go back to secular Japan. Japan was trying their best to, get out of their pacifist, basically, constitution, and they wanted to build up weapons. They wanted to change around, and people had designs against that. And next thing you know, Shinzo Abe goes down. These things are not accidents, people. This isn't some random lone gunman. This is somebody who was fed and put into it. Yep, it is. It definitely is. Look, after what John just said, there is a precept that popped in my head. I'm blanking on it. 2 Esdras 6 and 9.
Book of 2 Esdras, chapter 6, and verse 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth.
So according to that scripture right there, whoever is the nation of people who for the most part, are ruling the entire world, who have control. Even if they're not even in the country, they still got control and they push their agenda. They push their views. Wherever that group of people are, according to the Bible, they are Esau. And so let's just do some simple deductions. Which nation of people who are at the top right now and pretty much ruling everything?
Esau.
Now, Yipper says, what's Ammon? It's Japan. Why specifically Japan? Well, if you go into the story of Moab and Ammon, which were brothers, Moab and Ammon, you could go to secular archaeology and look at phenotypes, but I prefer when you look in the scriptures, and I always draw a blank on it, where in the book of Kings. But in the book of Kings, it tells you that Moab and Ammon were pushed to the east. So at that time, the east, and when they talk about Asia, Asia Minor was Turkey, and were the edges of the Middle East, which start getting into mainland modern day Asia. So whoever would be east of those areas would be Moab and Ammon. And the nations which are over there, well, we already know, for instance, like when you get into India and Pakistan, you can literally talk to some of those people and they will tell you, biblically, I would descend back from Elam. I would descend back to Aram or Aramites. Some of these people literally know their biblical identities. You could talk to certain Arabs and they'll tell you, yes, I descend from Ishmael. And so that would make them Ishmaelites. And so that's what I'm saying. Some of these nations know what their biblical identity is. And even if they don't believe in the Bible, they know that, okay, well, I descend from this person or that person, and we are told that this was our ancient forefather. Did you have a precept, sir?
No, I was trying to find out what you were looking for when it comes to Moabites being pushed to the east.
I'm trying to, let me see if I can find it. Ooh, I need to plug my phone into the charger. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's been so long since I read it. Because I believe also it's the last time that they're talked about in the Book of Kings. No. Of Kings. Where is it at? I don't know. I'll probably have to. Is that it? No, that's not it. It's talking about Kings. Jehoshaphat defeats Moab. That's not it. I don't know. I have to go search for it later. But that's where I read it at. So let's see. Oh, ooh, I forgot. We're not going into that prophecy right now. Jehoshaphat defeats Moab and Ammon. But that's something different. What is it? I know a few Ishmaels, not Arabs though. Maybe just Muslims in general, huh? Oh, the other thing that I wanted to throw in there, we have the Euphrates River drying up. That's biblical prophecy also.
I think it is dried up already.
Well, basically. And there's a reason for that, why it's drying up. Hmm. Well, John, this, I'm going to have to speak very codedly. And so hopefully you can pick up what I'm putting down. But I normally wouldn't say this on the other shows. I normally won't even say this on Rockfin. But I would argue that that's what I could say. Okay, I'll say it that way. I would argue that Amalek intentionally forged, or I don't want to say forged, but they manipulated some details of a very, very major historical event and distorted causes of things that happened so that they could
Gain sympathy.
gain sympathy to gain something very significant, even though many of those said people turned out to not have went to their demise in the way that they were said to have went to their demise. And so therefore, many people, including the Bank of London and a very wealthy people from the United States, helped fund some of the propaganda that led to a certain thing, and which led to the Hollywood propagandizement of this said event over and over and over and over that we often hear about. And that allowed for some of these people to get into positions while pretending to be something that they weren't. Meaning, I don't believe that all the people that are called, people who like a symbol that would probably do good peddling. If you took that symbol and you put it on the back of a boat, it would probably do good, like, moving water. I'll just say that. A certain symbol that could move water very well. Some of those people, I don't believe that they were who they said. It's kind of like there we go. Three Amigos. John, you remember Three Amigos? Tell me you remember Three Amigos. I want to see first. Do you remember the movie Three Amigos? Most people are not going to remember this, so I feel very confident I can use this analogy. I want to see first. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that. Remember what we just had with the outbreak, and it was like, I broke my leg, but I had a cold at the same time, or my allergies were really flared up at the same time that I broke my leg. Oh, well, obviously the allergies flared up is why your leg broke. It's kind of that situation, how they were just counting, certain things up. I'm trying to be careful. You guys know it's that one topic that you can't really talk about on YouTube. Let's just say that you're adding numbers up and they aren't necessarily correct. And so while you're adding these numbers up fraudulently, you also start saying, oh, well, it's kind of like you got into a fight and you got your ass kicked, but you don't tell people it was a one-on-one fight. You tell people, nah, man, it was like 50 of them, and I would have whooped their ass if it just wasn't 50 of them fighting me at one time. It's kind of like there was a lot of things omitted. For instance, I didn't know during this special event that there was a there were plays going on. They had a soccer field. Um, I didn't know that there were swimming pools for people to swim in. Um, there were certain people who talked about how it was not a great situation, but their experience wasn't the experience other people said. Um, I'll give you another example. During, say, Thanksgiving, imagine somebody telling you that, yeah, I made 5 turkeys for everybody to eat, and I put all 5 turkeys in the same oven, and I cooked them all for 15 minutes, and all of the turkeys came out perfect. You're like, that doesn't make any sense. You can't cook for one, you can't fit 5 turkeys in the oven altogether. And now they're telling you that putting more turkeys in the oven, you still can do it in a very short amount of time, even though if you were able to fit all 5 in there, the dispersion of heat would make it not work the same way in cooking all the turkeys thoroughly. You get what I'm saying there? There's holes. I'll just say that there's a lot of holes, and that certain event you're not allowed to ask questions about it. And the reason why you're not allowed to ask questions, because if you start asking questions, you're going to start seeing things don't add up. It's the same way where in the secular world, how certain people say, well, you don't speak the language, so you don't really know what it's saying. It's that same kind of thing. So I think I'll get off of those analogies now.
Let's hope we don't get shut down.
No, I know that there's no way that they could shut us down for that, because I didn't say anything where they might even know what I'm saying, but I legally on a law argument there would be no way to pin me down on exactly what I'm saying. That legally they could not. Yes, turkeys are dry anyway. That's why deep fried turkeys are better. You ever had
Yum.
deep fried turkey?
I have not. That sounds amazing.
It is, and you don't have to. I look at it like this: if you like turkey and dressing and stuff like that, have it. You just don't have to have it at the same time as a pagan celebration. Do it separately. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having a get together with family and friends anytime you want. Just don't tie it to, some of these holidays. Yipper said, oh, so wait, it was 2 million, 3 million, or 50 million killed in the Congolese genocide. The Congolese genocide, how many were actually killed? I believe and this is a conservative estimate, anywhere from 10 to 15 million. But I've heard accounts of easily over 30 million, easily over 30. And that's just on how many were after they were like enslaved in genocide. That's not even talking about the ones who were just maimed, because they were just literally castrating some of them, chopping legs off, arms off. I mean, some pretty wicked stuff. Um,
You're right, Yipper. Now I need to fix that.
mhm.
I'm in the South and I haven't had a fried turkey.
That's where I ran across it in Jacksonville. Another thing that I would say, John, when you were in boot camp, did you guys have to do the event where you take off the mask and breathe in fumes and cough? Did you have to do that? Did you have that experience also in boot camp? Or anybody who's in the military, if who's watching this later on, I want you to think about this. Yeah, I'm wondering if John has, because I know I did. And so that's why this, when somebody brought this up, it raised some questions with me. If you were trying to, in boot camp, the biggest thing about that, in order for them to do that drill that they did, it was to get us aware and prepared physically for something. One thing you notice about that room is there was no way an ounce of air could get out of that room. It was so sealed tight. Now, could you imagine them doing that same training in a room with the air vent at the top, a drain on the bottom, and multiple light sockets and plugs all over that room? Could you imagine that same drill being done in under those circumstances, John? Oh, you had to eat it. Oh, that's gross. I mean, I kind of got a little lucky when I did it because I had the flu at the time. And so it's kind of gross what happened, but it cleared me completely out. All I had to do was just lean over a trash can and everything came out. And then everything I ate for 2 weeks tasted like wasabi, even Jello.
Ew.
Yes, everything was gross. Like your milk tastes like wasabi. Your literally anything that banana tasted like wasabi. Everything tastes like wasabi.
Gross.
Yes, Yipper. Yes, you get what we're talking about now. I'm just saying that if you go to BitChute, for instance, or anybody who follows me on Twitter, just let me know. I could see you guys some interesting things to see, and let's see what questions you have. And then one other, I can't say that one. Damn, I can't say that one. Then that'll
Give you away?
yeah, it'll give everything away if I say that one thing. Did wasabi taste like wasabi afterwards? I don't know. And it's weird. I like wasabi. I just don't like everything that tastes like wasabi. But I think, we're getting close to the end of our time. It's best to drink milk afterwards. Throw some in your eyes if you need to. So let's see. Yeah, I went over that. Hey there, everyone. I've been in the bushes due to work, so trying to catch parts of your live. Good to see you all live. Yeah, we're gonna get back to doing our weekly live streams, and I'm gonna be uploading videos. So just expect this plus more content on a regular basis. Tomorrow night, it's going to be a interesting show with the political matrix. We're gonna run over a couple of things real quick, and then we're gonna have kind of a little night off. I'm probably going to have to get it up, early, so everybody have the opportunity to catch it, or at least know what we're going to be doing. Um, we I was After doing a whole lot of studying on a couple of different things, and I was like, I need a mental break. I mean, I was going back and forth between listening to Bible verses and WEF, and I'm like, okay, all right, you could take a break. So I was listening to some music, some secular music for a change, stuff that I would, listen to. Um, well, I listen to secular music. I don't only listen to so-called truth music, but I was like, man, I missed some of my songs. So what we're gonna do is me and Chris is gonna have you know, almost like a versus kind of thing. So he's gonna play a song. We're gonna do it on Rockfin, of course, but he's gonna get to play a song. I'm gonna play a song. So, I said that's a good night to have your drinks ready, get nice and comfortable, relaxed, maybe want to invite some friends, and we're just gonna play a little bit of music.
This is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so you guys know Chris's style is more straight hip hop. So more of his selections are going to be probably hip hop. Mine, I'll be my main style of music I listen to would be reggaeton. So we're gonna get a little bit of that, and then of course, depending on what he play, I might have to show him. I'll be like, hey, even though I listen to reggaeton, I do listen to some other stuff. So I might throw some curveballs in there, y'all. Might throw in some old school R&B, some stuff only a handful of y'all out there know about. I might even throw in a little bit of blues here and there. And then I did grow up in a jazz city, and I am a musician. Well, I say former musician. I don't play anything anymore. But when I was in high school, I was the solo trumpet player in our jazz band. So I'm gonna throw a little bit of something out there. What time we will be on? We will be on. I think the first part I'll probably do at 6, and I gotta double check to see if Jimmy Jimmy might be on with us from Extra Bulla and K. I always get it mixed up. KT KR. I don't know. I get all those those acronyms mixed up. But I don't know. I'll see if she wants to come on for the brief show or come on next week for a full show. But we should be on. What time zone are you in, Vicky? Then I will tell you per your time zone. Yes, John, I will be on with Lucky, and it is going to be a interesting show. The topic, she has a really good topic. Pacific. Oh, okay, so you're in my neck of the woods. We'll be going on about 6:30. 6 o'clock or 6:30. I'm pushing for 6 o'clock, but more than likely it'll probably be 6:30. And then we'll probably do maybe about 30, 45 minutes on, with the YouTube also. And then we'll switch over and go rock fan only. Actually, I'll probably, because at that point, normally when I click the YouTube off, I'll probably click on my Facebook also. So they can get in on that too. So that part would be probably about 7:30-ish. Yeah, Yipper says Lucky can stream on YouTube, or is it Rockvid? No, Lucky is on YouTube. She just came off of getting a copy, not a copyright strike. She got a medical misinformation strike from a video from like a year ago. So, and it's all right. I know what that's like. On this channel, we're lucky we're streaming. One of the times we actually couldn't stream for a little while. I got hit with, what was it? It was what did they say? Violating community standards, so-called hate speech. Yeah. Oh, you didn't know about that?
No.
Yeah. That video of Rabbi Harry. Why am I forgetting Harry's last name? But was it something Harry? Dang, what? Rosenberg. Harry Rosenberg. All I did was clip a video of something that he was saying. I literally said nothing in it. It was a 1 minute short of him making a comment that he said on another channel, which that like 5 minute interview is still up. All I did was take 1 minute section of what he said in there, and they took it down for hate speech. And then I had another video from about a year ago that what is his name, Dr. Henry Abramson, requested that that video be yanked down. So, and I basically called him a coward. Like, man, you could have talked to me. You could have like reached out and been like, "Hey, can you at least take my part out of there?" I could have took it out and re-uploaded it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back and find that video, and then I'm just going to upload it to Rockfin in its full entirety, so anybody and everybody could see it. Yeah, that I put it this way: YouTube really doesn't like me at all. In fact, when I go on other people's channels, that interview on their channel gets throttled back. So, I mean, I had a video where I went on to Extra Bullet for about 3 days afterwards. If you clicked on the channel, you didn't see it. You had to click the channel, then click live, and then you would see it under there. So that's the kind of stuff I did.
They out for you.
Well, I still got a warning on the on my main original page from almost 2 years ago from a video they yanked down. So-called medical misinformation, which I wish there was a way which I could appeal that now, because I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Now what I was saying, there are plenty of people agreeing and saying what I said. Medical professionals are literally saying what I was saying back then, which you guys heavy-handedly attacked me for saying, which was not misinformation. What I did, and I'll tell you guys what I did. I won't say the numbers, but I took the U.S. population per the official amount of COVID deaths at the time and just did the math and said it out loud. So me just doing math got a video yanked down. So Yipper says, all right, Marcus, or should I say Kyrie Irving, you posted a video, stop being dramatic. No, I'm not being dramatic. I'm just telling you how YouTube, well, the issue is, it's not that I posted the video. It's the fact that that video, the original video, which I got it from, is still up. And multiple other people have the same or saying the same exact thing. But for some reason, when I just recite that somebody said it, and I get in trouble. I don't even care about getting in trouble, but I'm like, let's just be consistent. You're gonna yank mine down. Why didn't you yank down the original one? It just doesn't add up. Oh yeah, that's right. They made another video. They put it age restricted. So if you click the video, you will have to click the proper age and all that stuff. Now, you know which video, right? The one with Ariella and he's talking to the Muslim woman.
Ah.
But the short where he's saying the most aggressive, we'll say aggressive part, that short is called Ariella Spikes Quran Like a Football. That one's perfectly, they left that up there, and that's the aggressive part right there. But I don't know. We're at our time, so I guess we're going to go ahead and get out of here. But it was good to be back. Like I said, we'll be getting back to doing our weekly shows. I got a very interesting video from, actually, let me pull up his name real quick. I know of us. I'm going to get us out of here.
All right.
I'm trying to remember the other rabbi's name. What's his name? Rabbi Resner? Crap, I can't see his name. Anyway, he's you guys will see the video. I've had this one in the can. I've been working on it for like 3 weeks now. It's I'm just trying to cut it down to the information I need. He goes on and he's very dramatic. And I just want to make this a short video. And sometimes short videos take the longest to do. But got anything to say, sir? Actually, anybody before anything else, anybody have any questions on anything? Let us know now, and we will try to answer before we get going. Also, I'm trying my best to get a debate. We'll see how that goes. And if anybody's watching this, I would love to have, let's not even say a debate. I would love to have a conversation live with somebody of the Orthodox Jewish community. I'm not even going to be like, I'm not going to try to bait you in or catch you in a hole. I'm just going to ask you certain questions. You give your answer and I move on. I'm not going to like double down and try to drill into it. Just got a couple of preset questions and I just want to hear your answer. I'm not going to tell you the answers before. The questions before. So I don't want, I just want live natural reactions and to hear your say so. I'm not going to scrutinize your answers or even demand that you give me better answers or that you redefine. No. Yeah, Chris be getting us in trouble with that. Chris be forgetting, like, bro, you can't play copyrighted music on there. That will get us a strike ASAP. Yep, anything they feel is going against the narrative must go. There was a video on Black Power Media this morning about human beings. Just if you see it, your thought. I haven't seen it, but I will definitely check it out and then give you my thoughts, sir. John says, great conversation again. Let Fuzz go. All right, now we're going to get going. Yeah, he's on the East Coast. It's late. He has to work in a few hours.
Yep.
But he's a trooper. So that said, this has been Young Morpheus and my brother
Jose.
And we are Hebrew Apologetics. Thank you all for tuning in. For those who watch live, John, Yipper, Vicky, Hamza, who was in here earlier, and anybody else who I forgot, or anybody else who's in here who I just didn't see you in here. Thank you for tuning in. I will be definitely checking the comment section, and I will respond there. If anybody catches it later, definitely feel anything you need to add, put it in the comment section. We'll talk about it there. You guys have a great night and a happy the new moon to all our brothers and sisters out there. And we'll end with Calm Yasharallah.
Call Halo Yahweh, Ba Shema Mashiach Yahushai, and with that we say Shalom.
Shalom.